a mother who swore she would never pray again, a 5-year-old boy who had never heard a sound in his life. And one Saturday afternoon, that would change everything forever, a miracle of the Virgin Mary that not even the doctors could explain. But before we continue, leave a comment saying where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I'd love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. Jennifer Hayes was 32 when she stopped believing in God. It wasn't a conscious decision. She didn't wake up one day and think, "Today I'm going to lose my faith." It was more gradual than that, more painful. It happened when she held her baby, and the doctor said the words that would change everything. "Your baby has Down syndrome, and the tests show he is profoundly deaf." Have you ever felt the ground disappear beneath your feet? When the world you imagined simply vanishes? Jennifer had prayed through her entire pregnancy. Rosaries. Her mother had placed an image of the Virgin Mary in the baby's room even before he was born. And now, holding that perfect little baby in her arms, Jennifer looked at the image on the wall and felt something break inside her, and Jennifer never set foot in a church again. Now, Lucas was 5 years old, and if you met him, the first thing you'd notice would be his smile. God, that smile. It was the kind of smile that lit up any room, wide, genuine, contagious. The kind of smile that made strangers on the street stop and smile back. Lucas loved dinosaurs, especially the green toy T-Rex he carried everywhere. He had named it Rex and talked to it in a sign language he had invented himself, because the official one was still hard for him, but Lucas didn't mind. He and Rex understood each other perfectly. He loved Play-Doh, loved tight hugs, loved when his mother sang, even though he couldn't hear, because he could feel the vibration in her chest, and that made him smile. Jennifer's husband, Michael, had handled things differently. He still had faith. He still prayed. But he respected that Jennifer couldn't anymore. Everyone copes in their own way, he would say. And they did, together, with love. 3 therapy sessions a week, sign language the whole family had learned, regular doctor visits, a special school where Lucas was thriving, a normal life full of love, but also of hard work. Jennifer didn't pretend it was easy. Some days were exhausting. Some days she fell into bed at 9 at night and was asleep before her head hit the pillow. But never, not for a single second, did she stop loving that boy with every fiber of her being. It was a Saturday in March, a sunny morning after a week of rain. One of those days when you just want to go outside and feel the warmth on your face. Jennifer decided to take Lucas for a walk downtown. Nothing special, just walking, window shopping, maybe getting some ice cream. Lucas skipped beside her, Rex clutched in his fist, pointing at everything he saw with the pure excitement only 5-year-olds have. A dog, a red car, a balloon someone had let go of floating up into the sky. Jennifer responded in signs, smiling at her son's boundless energy. They were walking down a side street when Lucas stopped. He stopped so suddenly that Jennifer almost tripped. "What is it, sweetheart?" she asked in signs. Lucas didn't answer. He was staring intently at something down the street. Jennifer followed his gaze. A church, small, old. Wooden doors wide open, letting in the morning sunlight. Jennifer felt her stomach tighten. She had avoided churches for 5 years. Crossed the street when she saw one. "Come on," she signed to Lucas. "There's ice cream on the next street." But Lucas didn't move. He kept looking at the church, and then he did something that caught Jennifer completely off guard. He started walking toward the open doors. "Lucas, no, we're not going in there." Lucas didn't stop. He was walking with determination, Rex swinging in his hand, heading straight for the church doors. Jennifer had to run to catch up with him. She grabbed his hand. "Lucas, let's go." Lucas looked at her, and Jennifer saw something in his eyes she rarely saw: persistence, almost need. He pulled her hand toward the door. His eyes locked on hers, pleading. "Have you ever tried to refuse your child when they look at you like that?" Jennifer sighed. "All right, 5 minutes. We'll just look, and then we're out." Lucas smiled, that smile that melted any resistance, and pulled his mother inside. The church was almost empty. An old woman lighting candles in a corner. 2 men talking quietly near the altar. Sunlight streaming through the colored glass windows, painting the floor in red, blue, and gold. Lucas stopped just after stepping in, his eyes wide, fascinated. It wasn't fear. It wasn't discomfort. It was awe. He had never been inside a church in his life, and he was enchanted. He began to walk slowly down the central aisle, looking at everything. The dark wooden pews, the stained glass, the high ceiling. Jennifer followed, uneasy but allowing it. And then Lucas saw it, in the left corner, near the altar, in a small alcove lit by candles. A statue of the Virgin Mary. It wasn't big, maybe a meter tall. A hand-painted plaster sculpture, white dress, deep blue mantle, hands extended in a welcoming gesture. Serene face, downcast eyes. Lucas froze, completely still. Jennifer stopped beside him. "What is it?" He started walking toward the statue, small, careful steps. Jennifer followed, her heart beating strangely. She didn't know why. Lucas stopped in front of the statue, looking up. The Virgin Mary's figure was just out of his reach. He extended his hand, trying to touch it. He couldn't reach. He looked at Jennifer, those pleading eyes again. Jennifer hesitated. But it was Lucas, her son, asking for something simple. "All right," she whispered, more to herself than to him. She bent down and lifted Lucas into her arms. He was heavy. 5 years old, no longer a baby, but she managed. She raised him up to the statue's height. And Lucas extended his hand, slowly, reverently. He touched the statue's face with the palm of his small hand, and stayed like that, hand on the plaster face of the Virgin Mary, completely still, eyes fixed on her face. Jennifer held him, feeling the weight of her son in her arms, waiting for him to get tired and ask to come down. But Lucas didn't move. A minute passed. 2. Jennifer was about to ask if he wanted to come down when she felt it. Lucas was trembling, slightly, almost imperceptibly. But he was. "Lucas," she whispered, forgetting for a moment that he couldn't hear. And then she saw it. Tears. Tears running down her son's face. Silent. Flowing. Lucas wasn't crying out of sadness. It wasn't the cry from when he fell and scraped his knee. It wasn't the cry from nightmares. It was something different, something Jennifer had never seen before. It was as if something inside him had been touched, something deep, something she couldn't name. And then Jennifer felt her own tears begin to fall. She didn't know why. She had no reason. But they were there, sliding down her face as she held her son, who was touching the face of a statue of the Virgin Mary and crying tears she couldn't understand. They stayed like that for a while. The lady who was lighting candles stopped and looked, but she didn't interrupt. She simply watched with a gentle smile and went back to her prayers. Finally, Lucas lowered his hand, slowly, reluctantly. He looked at Jennifer, and there was something different in his eyes, a peace, a completeness she had never seen before. Jennifer set him down, her legs trembling. Lucas held her hand and walked toward the exit, calm, serene. He didn't run, didn't jump, didn't point at anything. He simply walked, hand in hand with his mother, Rex forgotten under his arm. When they stepped out onto the street, the sun seemed brighter, the air felt fresher. Jennifer took a deep breath, trying to process what had just happened. She couldn't. It didn't make sense. But it had happened. "Ice cream," she signed to Lucas. He nodded and smiled. They went to the ice cream shop. Lucas chose chocolate with sprinkles. He ate slowly, savoring each bite. And Jennifer couldn't stop thinking about the church, about the tears, about that moment that was impossible to describe. What had happened there? 2 days later, on Tuesday, Jennifer took Lucas to his routine appointment with Dr. Peterson. She had done this many times before. She knew what to expect. She had stopped hoping years ago. Dr. Peterson was a man in his early 50s, gray hair, metal-rimmed glasses. He had been treating Lucas for 5 years. He was kind, patient, realistic. "Good morning, champ," he said to Lucas. Lucas smiled. Dr. Peterson sat Lucas on the floor of the testing room. Toys scattered in front of him. "I'm going to make some sounds," he explained to Jennifer, "to see if there's any reaction." He picked up a calibrated sound-emitting device, positioned it behind Lucas where the boy couldn't see. Lucas was playing with Rex, unaware. Dr. Peterson activated it. A loud, high-pitched sound. Lucas stopped playing, turned his head, slightly. Searching. Jennifer held her breath. Dr. Peterson tested again. From another angle. Lucas turned again. He's reacting," Dr. Peterson whispered, incredulous. He ran more tests. Sounds of different frequencies, always from behind, where Lucas couldn't see. And every single time, Lucas turned his head, searching for the source. "This is Jennifer," he's hearing, partially, but he is. "How? How is this possible?" Dr. Peterson shook his head. Jennifer, in 20 years of doing this, I've maybe seen 2 cases of partial hearing recovery. It's extremely rare, almost impossible." Jennifer looked at her son. Lucas was playing with Rex, unaware that his life had just changed. "Why now?" she asked. "Why not 5 years ago? 3? 1? "I don't know," Dr. Peterson admitted. "The human body still surprises us. Sometimes things we consider impossible just happen." Jennifer thought about the church, about Saturday, 2 days ago. She didn't tell the doctor. He wouldn't understand. She didn't understand herself. But there was a connection, impossible to ignore. That night, Jennifer put Lucas to bed. Same ritual as always. Dinosaur pajamas, Rex beside him on the pillow, a kiss on the forehead. Jennifer barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lucas at the doctor's office, turning his head, searching for the sound. And she saw him at the church, touching the face of the Virgin Mary statue, crying 2 days apart. Coincidence? At 6 in the morning she gave up on sleeping, got up, took a shower, dressed in silence. Michael woke up as she was leaving the bedroom. "Where are you going so early?" I need to go somewhere. I'll be back soon." He was going to ask more, but he saw something in her face. "Okay, be careful on the road." 20 minutes later, Jennifer was standing in front of the church. It was Wednesday, 7 in the morning. The doors were open. A few people were walking in for morning mass. Jennifer took a deep breath and went inside. She didn't go to the pews. She went straight to the alcove where the statue of the Virgin Mary stood. She stopped in front of it. The same statue of the Virgin Mary, same white dress, same blue mantle, same outstretched hands. Jennifer looked around. No one was paying attention to her. She knelt down, and for the first time in 5 years she tried to pray. She didn't remember how. The words came out awkward, broken. "Something happened. I can't explain it. The doctors can't explain it." And I keep going back to that moment, and 2 days later, her voice cracked. "So if it was you, if you really heard my son in some way, thank you, Virgin Mary. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see for 5 years, that sometimes the things that don't make sense are the most real." And then she felt it. A scent. Gentle, sweet, roses. Jennifer looked around. There were no roses, but the scent was there, unmistakable, wrapping around her like an invisible embrace. And Jennifer knew. Not with her mind, with something deeper. Someone had heard. Someone had seen. Someone had cared. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." The scent faded. Jennifer stood up, went back to the car, drove home. And for the first time in years, she felt that locked door inside her begin to open, just a crack. But it was enough. For now, it was enough. 3 months later, Lucas was thriving. The partial hearing had opened a new world for him. He still used signs, but now he also reacted to sounds. Music, voices, laughter, especially laughter. Jennifer had gone back to church, not every Sunday, but she went, sometimes alone, sometimes with Lucas. And every time they went, Lucas made sure to visit the image of the Virgin Mary. Jennifer would lift him up. He would touch the plaster face. Stay like that for a few seconds, then smile, and they would leave. Like a ritual, like a silent conversation between a child and something greater than anyone could understand. One Saturday, Jennifer was in the kitchen making pancakes for breakfast. Lucas was playing in the living room with Rex and the other dinosaurs. Jennifer started to sing, as she always did. A silly, made-up song about dinosaurs eating pancakes. And she heard it. Small, quick footsteps. Lucas appeared in the kitchen doorway, eyes shining, because he had heard. He had heard his mother singing. Jennifer stopped, looked at her son, and sang again. Louder this time. Lucas smiled. That smile that lit up everything, and he started to sway, dancing in his own way, clumsy, perfect. Jennifer knelt down and opened her arms. Lucas ran and threw himself into them. And there, holding her son who could hear for the first time in his life, Jennifer understood something. The miracle hadn't just been the hearing. The miracle had been remembering to believe, remembering to hope. Remembering that sometimes, in the middle of pain and anger and unanswered questions, there's still room to be amazed. Lucas wasn't more perfect now that he could hear. He had always been perfect. But now Jennifer could sing to him and know he heard. She could whisper, "I love you," in his ear and see the smile. They were small things. They didn't change who Lucas was. They didn't fix anything because nothing had ever been broken. They just added layers of connection, new forms of love. Jennifer kissed the top of Lucas's head. He wriggled free and ran back to the dinosaurs, dancing along the way. And that was miracle enough to last a lifetime. Do you believe in the miracles of the Virgin Mary? Write it in the comments. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Share in the comments a miracle you've witnessed or experienced, and share this video with someone who needs to renew their hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue to bless and protect you and your family. Amen.